Hello there, everyone. Thank you for joining me today on this journey in which we're going to talk about how to present like Steve Jobs. Just allow me to share my screen here and we'll be on our way. Okay. So thank you all for joining the workshop, How to Present in English Like Steve Jobs. Feel free to share your thoughts and ideas throughout this workshop in the chat box. There will be plenty of opportunities for that to occur. Okay. So before I begin, I'd just like to say a few words about Eclectica, about us, what we do. We pride ourselves on the fact that we provide the best language courses in IT and business, soft skill training in English, platforms for language learners, our brand new platform, which is fantastic, by the way, and some of the courses which we'll be talking about later on as well. Okay, I see that some of you, I do know some of you from my lessons. Hello, and those who don't know me, I will tell you a few words about myself. I have been teaching English for well over a decade. I just wanted to say that the thing that I'm really proud of and the thing that I pride myself on is the fact that I had the opportunity to speak with a really wide range of personalities and people from different places around the globe. I believe that every time I spoke with someone, even during like a lesson or a presentation, in a sense, they were presenting as well, right? So I had that opportunity to see a wide array of types of presentation styles. And today, even though the presentation is titled How to Present, like Steve Jobs, my goal here is to rather help you discover your own style. Are you this type of person who likes to use visuals or maybe stories? And to be honest, there's no one like method that is better than the other, to be honest. And this is not my goal, is to tell you which one is the best. It's rather for you to choose your own path as well. Okay. So that was going to be the very first step. Some of you perhaps work for these companies. These are the companies that we have conducted courses for. So the leaders do trust us. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's get the show on the road. If you had to describe your ideal presentation style in 3 words, what would they be? Okay, feel free to answer this question in the chat box. Think of 3 words. Okay, okay, of adjectives which describe your ideal presentation style. To help you, okay, here, I thought of some examples, okay? So you can, of course, choose one of my examples from the board here, or alternatively, choose your own words, okay? So feel free to write in that chat box. Okay, we have some answers coming in. Yeah, okay, so we have the answer. Someone says, Dominican says that not much text on slides. I do agree with you. Uh, you know, I'm the type of person who loves to speak. When I'm not really worried too much about the visual side. I guess I'm not really good at that either. Yeah, so if I constructed some of these slides and maybe they're not in your style or something, but the fact is that for me the most important is that content, uh, the conversation sort of as well, right? Okay, more joining. Okay, I have some answers that the presentation should be concise, witty, and clear. Okay, very good. All right. Please feel free to share your ideas throughout, okay? My next task, and this is a task for everyone before we actually get into the get down to business, I would say, okay? Because today's workshop is going to be very how to put it, intense, I believe, right? I plan to do as many things as I can with you in this short time span. Okay, so first idea to help you decide what your presentation style actually is I thought of a little survey that you're going to take in a moment. Are you a storyteller or rather a reporter? I think I'm more to the storyteller side here. Conversationalist or lecture? I think I like both. Performance or discussion? I would go with discussion here. I'm going to give you a QR code, okay? So what I like you to do is scan this QR code, all right? And take the little survey, and we shall see. We'll try to discover what your style is. I see that more answers are coming in. Yarek mentioned that it should be inspiring and not too long. I hope that you don't find my presentation too long today, yeah? Okay. All right, so here's the QR code. But for those of you who don't have like a scanner at hand or just a QR app or something, I'm going to also give you a link, okay? So that link, you can find that link in the chat box, okay? So take a 2-3 minutes to take that little survey, okay? And I would like to, it's for self-evaluation, really. So you basically have A or B answers, just a few sentences for you to complete. Are you more structured and formal, or rather casual like I am? You know, and you can submit your answers, okay? But there are no wrong answers here, really. It's about you. I have had that chance to speak with, like I said at the beginning, with people with a variety of styles. And I could tell you that, for instance, and I analyzed some TED Talks, for instance, to see what type of style works best. And what I found was quite interesting. The presentations that were the most successful received the longest standing ovation. The two top ones were completely different. One of them was based on visuals and this type of like visual content, graphics, and the other, complete opposite. It was just a story. For the majority of the time, it was just the speaker was telling a story for about 15 or 20 minutes, right? So it's all about the style that works for you. My goal today is to help you discover your style a little bit, okay? And this is something that you can base your later next steps. I have some ideas for next steps for all of you, regardless of your style, which I'm going to tell you about later, okay? Okay, so I hope everyone is done with that one, yeah? With the results. We will have those results later on, although as I mentioned, it's about self-evaluation. And there are some results there. Are you more like a person who analyzes and like an analyst sort of, or more into like the creative side? Okay, good. Let's continue, shall we? The very first thing I like to say is about the not the what, but the why. Why should I care? What does it mean to me? This is a question that you will answer, you will ask yourself subconsciously during any presentation. So if you are the presenter, you have to actually think about this, that the audience, everyone has their own problems and their life of their own. Yeah. Why should they give you their attention? Why should they care? So what I do, right, is that when I approach, of course, today it is a workshop, although I am mainly the speaking and there is no like conversation on the other hand here, but on the other side, but you can of course write in that chat box. I believe that it's all about the audience. So you want to gauge your audience, you want to find out who they are, and even beforehand, even before the presentation itself, you would like to, trust me on this, prepare with some phrases that you can use. What does that mean? Well, I like to put myself in the shoes of the audience. So, but you're not, of course, you can do it during the presentation. Fine, sound. And you can try to just be spontaneous, but you can beat that audience to the question. If you're preparing for a presentation, you can consciously think about it. So let's take any presentation that you have delivered in your life thus far. Think about moments which were really difficult to deliver. Okay, a moment which was hard to explain because it was difficult content, right? Or maybe it was an innovative idea. So if you put yourself in the shoes of the audience at those certain points, you can actually beat them to this question, answering it before they even, and usually they won't ask you. Yeah. So you might have puzzled faces. What is this person talking about? They might not ask you. So you can say, this is all very well, but it doesn't answer the question. And then you actually pose that question. You ask that question. Okay. So you're actually answering that question before it is asked. Of course, this is something that you can do for preparation, but during the actual presentation, many things will happen. You will, of course, meet different types of people, right? And then you have to be able to read that audience, right? This is something that I really like doing. So okay, so we're gonna go on. Next thing is simplicity. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, ladies and gentlemen. It is Leonardo da Vinci. So I have actually thought about a few things, and I just wrote down that I like to share. People ask, I say, use easy words. Right? And then, the person is like, okay, my student be like, all right, but what's an easy word? How do I know? Well, there is actually an explanation. Usually the Latin rooted words like anticipate, negotiate, construct, transformation, communicate, these are words, okay, that are more complex than the Anglo-Saxon ones. Ask, build, change, talk, think. What should you consider? It doesn't mean that I need you to analyze every time what is the root of the word and then decide. But there is a clear reason for this, right? So what you can do is you can consider the following things. First of all, the length and the complexity of the word. The Latin rooted words are usually much longer and they have more syllables, and it needs more time. The person does need more time to think about what you're talking about. And usually they're more abstract. It's because they're more broad, and it takes more effort to understand them without any context. But everyone knows what the word think means or ask in English, right? The other aspect is that they're just less familiar, even for a native speaker, because these are the ones that are more common in spoken English. You do not want to sound like you are, reading something which does not sound natural. You're using unnatural words. That is something that will make the presentation, in my opinion, quite terrible. Okay, so I prepared a few little tasks. We're gonna try something together. How to make your language more simpler. There are some very basic rules. These are rules of thumb, as we call it. It doesn't mean that suddenly you're only using this in your presentations. No, I'm giving you general guidelines at the moment, how to make your language simple. Okay, so first of all, you're favoring active verbs over passive. Yeah, so instead of saying, the project was launched, we launched the project. There's no easier sentence in English than something that we call an SVO, which is subject, verb, object. The boy likes pizza is the easiest type of sentence. And when you're presenting, you want that message to be clear. Your goal, I'll put it like this. Imagine, okay, when you're presenting, imagine that you're practicing at home or in front of the mirror or something. The goal is for the audience to feel good and not you when you're presenting. And that's a very like a good tip, I think. Like I see people like they're trying to be all sophisticated and practicing. Like, no, the goal is your audience feels good, understands what you're talking about. You get that message across. It's a success. Okay. All right. Now you try. Instead of our product was designed with your needs in mind, what can we say? Okay. And feel free to uh, message me in the chat box. Okay. There are many who have joined me. I really do appreciate it, by the way, that you're here today. Okay. So take a moment, okay, to think about that. Okay, I have some first answers coming in. Thank you so much. One of the answers by Jan. Thank you, Jan. We designed the product with your needs in mind. Good, very good. Michael. Michael writes, we have managed to design your product according to your need, or okay, our product according to your needs. Okay, good stuff. I see that the level of English of this group is very high. Nice, nice one. Very good. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. That's the first step. Next one. Sound natural. This is what I just told you about, like with the vocabulary. You want to sound natural. English is a language which is very melodic, you know. So we don't want to sound like robots when you're delivering a pitch, for example, or a presentation, in which even if it is just like a business report, you know. Okay. Here is an example. One must consider various factors to comprehend this phenomenon. Okay, I might write like this, okay, when I'm doing like a very formal, perhaps some kind of like study or something, okay? But I wouldn't speak like this during a presentation, probably, yeah. Although it does really does depend. So I'm saying it does depend on the context. These are general rules of thumb. There's a lot to think about here, so let's break it down. Simple, very basic. I'll give you now a little one. Okay. I'll give you another example. Let's dive into the strategic approach for growth. Dominique wrote for the previous one, we have your needs in mind while designing our products. That is a good one as well. Very good. Okay. Take a moment. Okay. I'll mute myself not to disturb you for a moment. Okay, we have some answers coming in. By the way, the votes and the survey that you have taken, I will analyze those later on as well, just to have a look at like the audience who is here, like in terms of your ideas. But like I said, these tips can apply to all, right? You will have to later analyze maybe even analyze your own presentations if possible. But what is exactly a presentation? Even when it is a conversation, I believe, in a small group, you're presenting in a way, aren't you? Okay, I really like this answer by Jan. Let's see how we can grow. I like that. It's classic and all good. Yeah. I will. Here's how we plan to grow. Okay, we're gonna go on. I have one more. Our organization has successfully implemented numerous initiatives with remarkable efficacy. That's a big word, yeah? Let's make it easier. Any ideas? Yeah. Let's make it simple. Let's make it plain so that everyone understands regardless of their English level. I know that I can hear that, you know, a lot of you have well, I can see that your English level is high, but imagine that you're speaking to someone whose level is slightly lower. Maybe that is like a very easy tip to follow. Even when you're, for example, even when you're writing an email, like a mass email for people at your company, you would like to be understood, right? Same here. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, I have some ideas coming. I like it. That's good. We're still not doing great. Yeah, that's sound. Barbara. Hello, Barbara. We've implemented many initiatives with great results. Okay, it is looking better. Or we can make it just simply a sentence with the word done. We've done a lot of great work. It's all good. It's really paid off. Easy, yeah? That's all. So why, you might ask, so if we're using all these easy words, why am I like learning, difficult vocabulary like during the lessons or something? Well, it's because I need you to expand your range so you know these words, especially the most common ones, okay? And then you're expanding to the even more advanced vocabulary. But which words you use is your conscious decision. Okay, we're gonna go on. Okay, numbers. We all love numbers, and numbers need context. I could tell you that. So, what does that number mean in practice? So, for example, with our 5 million investment, we can build 25 new classrooms, each accommodating 30 students. Okay, let me show you something because I actually wrote something on the board here. Okay. Now, here we have some numbers. 6.5 ounces, 28.5 grams, 5 gigabytes. So what? So these are the numbers that Steve Jobs had, okay, when he created the iPad, okay? This is how much it weighed. This is how much like capacity it had, but it was 2001, okay? So imagine it was a time where economically, the economy in the United States was not good, okay? The recession, yeah. So how are you going to have people spend, and I think it was 300 bucks or 400 bucks on a device? It's not easy, okay? So he made those numbers have value, okay? How can we transform this into some kind of value? Well, 5 gigabytes at that time, well, of course, now we can use different formats and stuff probably, but 1,000 songs. Okay, it's a small device. 1,000 songs in your pocket. You got it. So his idea was, let's try to make this sound good. The numbers need value. The numbers need something that you can remember, right? If you told me these figures, I'm not going to remember them in a few minutes, right? You tell me 1,000 songs in your pocket, 2001, CDs. I remember. Do you remember CDs? I had like 15 songs on them or something or less at that time before MP3s. Yeah. So, and then a little device with 1,000. Now you're talking. Now you're talking, because Steve Jobs, like what I liked about his presentations was we could compare it to like an experience. Now imagine that you went to Broadway. Okay, you went to Broadway, you wanted to see some acts, right? You wanted to see something that's gonna make you go, wow. It's an experience. And this is how he structured those presentations. So even though in reality it was just a little device, he used this to his advantage, the numbers. Plus simplicity. Why simplicity? Even if you look at like the products themselves, they were aiming to be simple, right? With like the way they were created and stuff. Yeah, the functions, and I guess and just the way they looked. Okay, so this next one, numbers need context. If you're bad at math like me, okay, you really do need some kind of I don't know, some kind of picture or something that will make it stick, connect. If you tell me just a number, I will not remember. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go on. I'd like you to try. We reduced our website bounce rate by 10%. Okay, let's imagine that you said this during your presentation. It was a company presentation. How could we enhance this or change this? So this, and I'm open to ideas here, really. Anything goes, really, in my presentations and lessons. So I'm open to your thoughts and ideas. How can we make this stick? Do not be shy now. We reduced our website bounce rate by 10%. I'm open to any ideas. My idea here was simply, which resulted in like 5,000 more visitors or something, right? So in this case, the sentence is much longer and everything, but it gives me some picture of what happened. And still I get another number, okay? So maybe we can enhance this even further. But the idea is that I know what that number meant. We're getting visitors. Yeah, 1/10. Yeah, good one. Very good. So people are saying, someone said, Natalia said, we increased the number of visitors by 1/10. Yeah, so 10%, yeah, for example, or good, good. All right. So remember about those figures. Okay, next one is convert abstract numbers into understandable units. Okay, so this is something that we call approximation. Like, think about estimates, think about proximity. If you're interested in this concept, I will not right now, it's not a math like session today. So, but if you are interested in the concepts of graphs, in the concepts of figures and how to deliver, there is a huge episode about that in our business presentations course, which I will discuss later. All right. So at the very end of today's session, I will go into that as well. So for example, our customer streamed 1 billion minutes of video last month. What does that mean to me? To be honest, nothing, right? I don't know what that actually means, but if you simplify it, 1,900 years, wow, okay, of content watched, that's a lot of YouTube shorts, yeah? Think about that. Let that sink in a little bit, yeah? So this is what what Steve Jobs tended to do. So far, I'm showing you, I'm breaking that down into the parts of what he actually did. Okay, so I'll give you the chance to try. The new system saves employees 300 hours per year. Let's try to give that one a go. What do you say? How would you change that? You want to interest me in your new system. Okay. What would you say here? Okay. I'm reading the chat as the messages come in, of course, and commenting on these. How can we change this number into something that it's almost an hour per day? Yeah, probably. Yeah. It sounds like it's an hour per day. Yeah, you see, my math is pretty bad, but you can pretty much we can approximate here. Yeah. Okay. What I wrote was 300 per year, so that's like equivalent to 37 full work days. I tried to make it like very, I would say, clear here with this. So 2 extra months to focus on strategic projects. Okay. If you have any ideas coming in, you can just share that. Okay. So the numbers. Next thing you can do with numbers is make them relatable to everyday concepts, by the way. Okay. So for example, our data center uses 2000 megawatts of power. That's enough to light up 1.5 million homes. Analogies. Use the power of analogy, comparison. Okay. So the numbers, but more on numbers in the course you can find with like making it into simpler proportions, for example, right? Instead of an actual figure you're giving like for example fraction, for instance. Okay, so 3 out of 5 users prefer app over competitors, for instance. Okay. There's also this very common notion of connecting numbers to the geographic or demographic context. For example, this initiative has impacted 10 million people worldwide, equivalent to like the entire population of Sweden. So it's very common that you can that they do this. For instance, you could try, like I said, it's about discovering your style. Enough about numbers. The next part is the so-called big reveal. You know, when I mentioned, I mentioned, okay, that is like a Broadway show when Steve Jobs was doing it. Does that mean that you have to do a show every time you deliver a sales report? Probably not. Yeah, it's all about your style and adapting certain even aspects to it. Many years ago, like I was actually took part in some I would say workshop about presentations, and this was about like around circa maybe 12 years ago. And in this presentation it was said that you should not deliver a brand new idea at the very end. Okay, this is a little bit outdated information, okay, because what you have learned in your life about presentations, a lot of it isn't very up to date. A lot of like our clients who have just got into presentations, and when we ask some of the students like, so where are we going to begin? When was the last time you gave a presentation, for example? We get the answer that, okay, for instance, I did like this PowerPoint or something. You need to forget all those things that you learned about the PowerPoints, the cookie cutter days of presentations. This is long past, okay? This is something that even because Steve Jobs was a bit ahead of his time in terms of like giving presentations, to be honest. But I think that the whole PowerPoint thing, and there's a although a lot of you did tell me some good tips today with the stay quite light on text. I agree here. So Steve Jobs actually went against this principle, and he liked to deliver that big reveal, that wow, at the very end of his show.
I have to ask you some items to maintain. My
Pardon?
is continuing to.
I see that. Okay. Okay, so I see that someone managed to unmute. I didn't know that is even possible, to be honest. So hello. By the way, yeah. So the big reveal. This is what Steve Jobs would do. So we call it the dramatic reveal. What can you say? For instance, Steve Jobs used tactics such as this. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, right? So you can use a nice phrase like that. What I'm about to show you is a game changer. So he liked to build up that suspense throughout the presentation, okay? And at the very end, deliver that punch with the wow moment. Yeah. So the audience was left with the sense of shock at the very end as well. So like I said, the standard used to be, for instance, okay, deliver the news in, for example, the main part of the presentation, and then summarize. But this is something that he actually went against, and it worked in a different way. So at the end, for example, he would show product, and at the very end, he would show some fantastic functionality that actually could really, I would say, disrupt the market in some way. Yeah. Okay. Can you use this in some way? I believe so, right? Because it really does depend on the type of presentation you're making. If you would like to make an impact, this is one of the things that you can do. Of course, this is only just one little piece, one little portion of what the world of presentation actually beholds. Yeah. So it is there's quite a lot of things to discover there. And a nice phrase like, this is where the magic happens, for example. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Jan mentioned it's like getting additional 7.5 weeks of vacation for our employees from the previous task, of course. Thank you. Sorry for my late response here. Yeah, it is good. Even if you are late with the responses or I go forward, feel free to just send it. I will have a look at every one of your like comments or your input as well. Okay. You can use a phrase like try and use like, are you ready for something amazing? Question, hypothetical questions, right? That engagement that you can gather. Let me show you why this is a big deal. Or this is where everything comes together as well. Okay. So that is the big reveal part of a presentation. Okay. A huge notion, a huge part of his presentation. We're going to go into some self-reflection questions, which I have for you. But before we do this, I also wanted to mention one more thing that I noted here for you. Okay, another little tip is about consistent terminology. Okay, this is something additional that I thought of. Why I thought about it? This is something additional I thought of that I also wanted to mention because of some things that I have noticed in huge presentations, for instance, but also in minor things, you know, like even emails or something. If you use consistent terminology, right? If you stick to one term for a concept throughout text or throughout your speech, I believe that it could be better. You know, so why should I avoid synonyms? If it's a main content word, you might not want to alternate here. For example, if I have, I'll use a very basic example. If I have annual report, right? For example, I might not use yearly report or end of the year report and change that 5-10 times during a annual report summary presentation, for example. I have seen this happening. It makes a little sense of confusion. Repetition is key. In you know, in English teaching, we have something called drilling. It means that we repeat something over and over and over. And I think that same thing here, it could be beneficial for your presentations. Self-reflection questions for you, okay? Thank you for those still with me here. What is your biggest strength as a presenter? Today, like in your in those surveys, you did tell me about yourself a little bit, how you chose options, right? But what about your greatest strength? Something I believe that everyone has a great strength. I also strongly believe that everyone has some talent. But what about your strength as a presenter? We're all presenters, really. Are you a great listener? Are you a person who is able to show empathy? Are you a person who is able to influence? Like I said at the very beginning of today's workshop, I pride myself on the fact that I had that possibility as an English teacher to speak with people from a variety of walks of life, from many or even probably most of the countries around the world. It shaped me as a person and as a presenter as well, right? So every presentation that you do, every conversation can be a step forward. It's about, we have something called as well, like a Zen approach, which is forgetting what you have learned and starting from zero. Maybe I'm not saying forget all your experiences, but maybe it's worth forgetting about those old tips about how to make a PowerPoint presentation. That's not gonna be like, that's not the way, I believe. So what is your greatest strength? I'm waiting for those answers here. A lot of humble people here. I guess humbleness is going to be number one, yeah? Okay, so I have the answer, the empathy. It is a big one. If you're presenting, right? Like in the majority of my presentations that I have done, I tend to focus on when there's a possibility for me to speak with the audience, I will engage. I will speak with the audience, not focus on myself, but focus on the people. It will put me in a different place as well. And it's a different position throughout the presentation itself, right? Okay, it seems that no one wants to share their greatest strengths. Okay. I'll ask a nicer question, but this one was the strengths is an easy question. I have a harder question about weaknesses, if you're interested in that. Okay. So my question for you, are you able to adjust your presentation if you notice the audience losing interest or not understanding? Michael mentioned being punctual, yeah, as a strength. But what about adjusting your presentation? The audience perhaps lost interest, but you had a plan. You had it all planned out. What would you do? You see this part about not understanding? The goal is for you not to allow that to happen, of course. You do not want that to happen. In hindsight, though, you would know what you could have done. But if you're there at the moment, oh yeah, Michael has a good one. Move forward. That's what it is. You got to move forward. Yeah. Okay, good. I have another question. What about the areas where you feel less confident as a presenter? Your weaknesses, something that you could improve on. What can we do? There's always something that we can improve on, right? It's a matter of seeing yourself, right? But when you present, the more you present, you will feel you will feel the room, even if there is no conversation there. If even if it's just your lecture, it's a lecture, eye contact. Oh, yeah. Well, if it's an online presentation, that eye contact is also a little different. Yeah, you must, for instance, look at that webcam. Okay. Now, everyone, I have a few things that I just wanted to say. I have a little big reveal of my own. The brand new business presentations in English self-study course. It says self-study, but that's not, there's more to that. I am the co-author of that course, and we do have a great deal for you at the moment. It's 80% off. What it does, this course, is that you are going to level up your skills there. It's not only like you read something and then, multiple choice and then bye-bye, you're successful. No, there is a hands-on approach. You will be creating content, audio, video. You will be getting feedback as well throughout the course. I highly recommend it. So I'm going to send that in the chat. It's the promo code Eclectica 80%. And in it, of course, what I talked about today is only the tip of the iceberg, really. There, you will go deeper into these concepts. There are 2 levels to the course: intermediate and advanced. The advanced being C1 and above, and intermediate, which I recommend for B1, B2 level. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about today? Oh, well done. Thank you for your active participation. And I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. See ya.